All right, first question from at Nat the Ends Bar 7925, if I'm saying that right. Jake, did you play Twin Snakes, the remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 on the GameCube? If not, I recommend. Some people complain about it, but as a Metal Gear Solid lover, I thought it was great. Did I play Twin Snakes? Are you new around here? Is this bait? Hang on. All right, this is not a flex. Maybe it's a little bit of a weird flex, but as like a collector pervert, have I played the Twin Snakes? Listen. I have a lot of thoughts about the Twin Snakes, and I am a complainer of the Twin Snakes. I have weird love for it in video game lore, in video game history. The fact that this game was even made. It's so interesting to me. But in more recent years, I've come around to it a little bit. Thank you for asking me this question because I've wanted to make a whole video about this game for a long time now, and I probably still will at some point, even though I'm kind of behind on Metal Gear Solid videos. But as a diehard fan of the series, I've been a fan since Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation 1. The Twin Snakes is interesting. It is a remake from Silicon Knights, a totally different development studio that essentially took Metal Gear Solid 1 and plopped it in roughly Metal Gear Solid 2's framework, meaning it plays more like Metal Gear Solid 2. Visually, it looks a little bit more up to par with that. The music style is also changed, and the music very much heavily references the works of Metal Gear Solid 2. And it's all over the place. It takes a lot of creative liberties with some of the scenes that don't really work, or at least if you're so hyper used to the original Metal Gear Solid 1, they don't work. Snake does a lot more over the top anime shit, which upon reflection, as much as I was turned off with that, like looking later down the line with something like Metal Gear Solid 4, where things get pretty damn wacky, it doesn't feel that out of place. Some of it still does. Like, some of it is just so ridiculous. It was clearly made when people were obsessed with the Matrix. You know, Snake is backflipping off of rockets and dodging bullets in slow motion. It's a little over the top. Some of it makes me chuckle still to this day when I replay it. Like, just like little things they threw in there feel almost like overly obnoxious. But I think in some aspects they did do a good job capturing the feel visually of Metal Gear. Granted, it's a remake. You think about it, it's only one console generation leap. It's not like now where we're getting remakes of much older games. The span of time from Metal Gear Solid 1 to Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes, it's just from PlayStation 1 to GameCube. So the visuals are amped up, but it's still old enough where some of that lo-fi-ness works in its favor. I've talked about this in a lot of videos in terms of remaking Metal Gear Solid 1 now. It's so hard to capture that lightning in a bottle, that distinct feel and tone. And Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes is a good example of like an almost but not quite. And I don't know if anyone can even come closer now to this day. I think a lot of it is the music. I've been very hung up on the music for a while with it. Sorry, how long has this been going on? How long have I been talking about Twin Snakes? Is this going to be the whole video? Listen, I'll save it for a longer video, but the Twin Snakes for me is something that I think is worthy of revisiting. I don't love it as much as the original, but I still think it's worth checking out if you're a Metal Gear fan to see a slightly different interpretation. And also, again, just the fact that this thing was made, the fact that there is an exclusive Metal Gear Solid game on GameCube that is 2 discs, mind you. I have a couple of opened copies here. 2 discs, like, that's produced by Hideo Kojima, like, still very much signed off on by Konami, like it was a thing, it was a collaboration. I don't know. It's just so interesting. This happened, then Silicon Knights did 2 Human, and I think like one other thing, and that was really it for them. But I'm still, either way, I'm glad Twin Snakes exists. Anyway, this is a Q&A video. I do one of these usually like every month or so, where I take your questions in the comment section of this video and talk about, you know, games, news, headlines, stuff I don't talk about in normal videos. So if you want me to answer your question in the next Q&A video I do next month, just drop your question in this comment section down here. But the next question comes from at Godina758, who says, how often do you beat games? I have a decent sized backlog of games I've started but haven't finished, like Dragon's Dogma 2, Alan Wake, Lies of P. My friends criticize me for this, but I just like trying out games that pique my interest. I say, don't let your friends criticize you. Yeah, big surprise. I'm gonna back you up on this one. look at me, like to make you feel better, right? Like if some of you guys are just not caught up on the recent games, I am a video game talker person. It is my job. I review games, I look at a lot of games, I play a ton of games. It's part of my whole thing. But like this year, most recently, like I didn't play Dragon's Dogma 2. I didn't finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I haven't really touched much of Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree. Like there are things this year that I just haven't gotten to. I'm slowing down a little bit. Like I can't cover too many games at once, but also it's just, that's life, man. You gotta choose and pursue and play what you wanna play. I know it's hard sometimes if you watch YouTube videos or you're on social media, you get caught up in the hype, right? Everybody's talking about a game. You can't help but wanna like go download it or go buy it and check it out yourself, even sometimes to the detriment of your wallet. And I'm guilty of being part of that. Like I love talking about the new things, the next things, but the reality is that sometimes you just got to completely pursue 100% what interests you. And to go back to this person's question who says they just like trying out games that pique their interest, hey, there's nothing wrong with sampling a bunch of games and never committing to any of them because you still just get to see what's out there. Sometimes some of the fun is just picking and choosing things. And life is short. If you try something, you think it's kind of interesting, but not enough where you want to finish it, life is short. You need to find something that will satisfy you for a whole playthrough, or at least something that you feel like you're willing to go the distance with. And I guess that's where sometimes, hopefully, our videos can help. But anyway, at Resident Evil 4 on PS2, good username, says, my question is, what type of Batman games would you like to see from a studio other than Rocksteady? An RPG, strategy, 5v5 live service hero shooter, LMAO. Personally, I would love a slower paced detective style game from Remedy, or fuck it, a cute Bat Family Sims clone. That's a good question. I love an excuse to talk about Batman. I'm gonna have a wild take here, but I would love to see one of the more interesting parts of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League be turned into a full game. Now, I, of course, have gone on record. Everybody's dunked on the game. It's like, it's a tired thing at this point. But I did go on the record and say that one part of the game I really liked that felt really creative and unique was when you get to like essentially walk through a museum with Batman hunting you down, with Batman using all his Batman Arkham tricks, and you're seeing and feeling it and sensing it happening all around you. People being pulled through vent shafts, people being pulled up from the rafters, stuff like that. I have always found stories with characters like Batman really interesting where it's not from their perspective. And I know everybody just wants another third-person action Batman game. Yes, I absolutely do too. But if we're trying to find something a little different here, scratch a little bit of a different itch, and just to talk about something a little more interesting, I would love a game where you're not Batman. Batman is hunting you, or you're trying to find it. I don't know, something where it's still interesting enough. Like it still has to be good enough where it's fun to not play as Batman. But I would just love that sense, that feel of being hunted by Batman. As someone who is such a fan of Batman, I would be totally happy with being like, oh my God, Batman's here. Like the dock scene from Batman Begins. The ultimate reveal of Batman. Something like that in playable form could be a lot of fun and a little different. Other than that, I mean, there had been rumors for a long time of Rocksteady making kind of like a Golden Age or like an older school style Justice League game. I would love like a 70s, 80s art style Batman adventure game. Like it's Batman and actually Robin. Hey, now before we keep going, I wanted to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Vessi. Summer is here, and in New York, it's been all over the place. It's been hot, it's been rainy, it's been muddy, basically a complete unpredictable mess. So with Vessi footwear, you're totally covered for any season, any adventure. They offer colors, shapes, styles for any type of person, any situation, and all of their kicks are 100% waterproof, which means you have freedom to do whatever. Jump in puddles, jump in the mud, go on a hike, get caught in the rain in the city. These have been my go-to shoes for a while now. They're always at my back door, ready to go. And their newest pair, I have been flexing these a lot in videos. These are the Stormburst Low tops. They're nice and comfy to slip on, but they got some added grip on the soles if you want to get a little bit adventurous. But I've said this before, but man, these are the ones I get the most compliments on. They're a little dirty right now because I wear them constantly, but since all their kicks are waterproof, you blast them with some water, they clean right up. And like I said, with this unpredictable summer season, you tend to get caught in the rain quite a bit around here, so these have been killing it. Aside from the new Stormburst low top, Vessi's also always dropping cool new colors and styles, limited run. So if you want to check this out, all you got to do, you just click the link in the description down below or head to vessi.com/Jake Baldino for an automatic 15% off your purchase at checkout. Once again, that's vessi.com/Jake Baldino. Check them out, have fun, and big thanks to Vessi for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to it. At Lou, it's a trap, if I'm saying that right, says, hey Jake, what's your take on Halo? Any fun memories or favorite entry? I got into Halo through Combat Evolved, maybe in 2008, then played Reach, which I love to death, but it's sad to see what Halo has become, to be honest. Yeah, looking back now with Halo Infinite, I certainly did not hate it, but I was just hoping that it would be something that would have legs to hold on for a while. But in this competitive landscape, it seems like it hasn't. So I'm like, oh man, what are you guys going to do now with this franchise? But that aside, I actually am tied to Halo from the beginning. Halo was something I think I played it at my uncle's house or it was at a kiosk or something. I don't know, but I made the impulse decision to just sell a bunch of other shit I had, like literally pawn off some stuff, take the cash, and I went and bought an Xbox. I went and bought a regular old Xbox, and the bundle came with Halo, and I played the campaign and was in love with it. I literally called my friend up, Andrew, who's editing this video, and said, hey man, you gotta check this out. He was like, what, you bought an Xbox? I was like, yeah, check out this game. He played it, he went out and impulse bought an Xbox as well. I think for me, it's really Halo 1, 2, 3 that are all interesting, right? Like you have Halo 1 that like, wow, what is this? This feels and plays great. It's interesting. It's cool sci-fi. Halo 2 was that like excitement moment of like the hype, you know, like the bigger, better sequel, crazier budget, higher stakes. Now you're on Earth. You're in these massive cities fighting big enemies. Like the graphics are crazier. That was really, really exciting, right? And then Halo 3, kind of that again, but on an even bigger scale. There was fucking like a Mountain Dew flavor. And like we all were like, yeah, this is so cool. We got a Mountain Dew flavor. Like, you know, the whole Master Chief. What was it called? Mountain Dew Game Fuel. Mountain Dew Game Fuel. Fuck yeah, dude. They kept bringing it back, of course, but like with Halo 3, it was like, wow, look at this. But really, the game, the open setting, the kind of, it felt like the culmination of that whole fight. That stuff just was really exciting. Like I've said consistently, like people love to call me like a fan of one console or another. I have had PlayStation and Xbox my entire life, and Halo was a big reason for like at least getting introduced to Xbox and going from there, like the Xbox and 360 era. At Aiden Mayer 5153 says, hey Jake, I just beat Max Payne 1 for the first time, but holy crap, it was unforgiving. What are you most hoping to see out of the Max Payne remake? Is there anything you want them to leave out or add in? First of all, congrats. I'm glad you made the jump and played it. For me, oh boy, interesting question. I think I would love the movement system of Max Payne 2 dropped into Max Payne 1. Also, funnily enough, I think the bullet time reload, the flashy spin animation for Max Payne 2 actually fits more in the vibe and style of Max Payne 1. That seems like something a younger guy would do, like a Max Payne 1 thing. But that aside, I mean, really, I would like it to have the movement style and play style of 3, I think. 3 was also quite difficult. I think it required a lot of precision from the player. And I think that level of challenge is good, but the precision, I like the feeling of just going hog wild and just blasting and stuff like that. No, so the only thing I think I would like to see from Max Payne 1 added in is essentially the creepy stuff. Like, don't ignore the creepy stuff. It's coming. It's coming. Like, remember all those like scary NPCs and stuff like that? I want that stuff to remain. I wouldn't mind a little bit more of that. I like the nightmare sequences. I know people talk shit about them and they were finicky and annoying, but like I want that feeling still. Like that stuff needs to be there. And I think in terms of adding things, again, it's really just the gameplay feel, keeping it, still a running and gunning game, but play it a little bit more like Max Payne 3. Specifically, the whole thing where you can shoot somebody and you get the bullet cam of them getting shot in slow motion, and you can just keep shooting and just keep putting bullets in them. That was great. Also, Max Payne 3 multiplayer was fucking underrated. So if somehow we could get that again, something like that, I would love to see that. At MGIE Bus 1869 says, any chance of a video for those of us who like mushrooms on our pizza? Interesting question. There is a place on Long Island that I go to called Donatina's, and they have an interesting mushroom pizza. It is Detroit style crust. It's a very different style crust from typical New York pizza, but very good. It's more like a mix between like a Sicilian and it's like a crunchier Sicilian slice. But it essentially is a mushroom slice where it's like wild, like sauteed mushrooms on just like pecorino romano and garlic and olive oil. It's like simple and really good. I know some people just don't like mushrooms. I disagree, but that's my curse. I like all food. But yeah, I just had to randomly talk about that for a second. Thank you. At Edgy Tryhard says, do an intro. A lot of people come to my videos and they say, why didn't you do an intro? Why did you just start talking? And I think, isn't that better? Aren't you glad I don't preface every single video with like, hey, everybody, before we get going, I just want you to like, and I want you to do this and blah, 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 blah. I just start talking. That's better, I think. Are people too like YouTube pilled where they need an intro? I don't know. I just thought that was funny to acknowledge because I always get these comments. So yeah. Ooh, Zaylin Griffin says, now that season 4 of The Boys is fully out, what are your thoughts? I personally think this season ended very well, but was the weakest overall. That being said, it is probably my favorite show right now. Very excited for season 5 and that tease at the very end of season 4, but it feels like it's going to be 2026. Yeah, these shows take a long time to make. But yeah, The Boys, I love this show. I went on record since the beginning. I've loved it. And I think season 4 was pretty good. Is it probably the weakest season? Yeah, maybe. I think it felt like it was building up a lot of stuff that wasn't really a payoff at the end of the season, but just kind of a building to the next season. I'm not going to spoil anything, but like there was a character arc with Frenchie getting somewhere that I felt like it was just kind of like padding or filler. Like where he got was kind of like, oh, we know. You could have just got there. But there were a lot of little things like that this season that I don't know, it didn't quite hit as hard. But I think the new characters they introduced, like the new soups were very interesting. I also really liked Erin Moriarty, who plays Starlight, in one specific kind of like scene or scenario towards the end of the season where she got to do something a little bit different. I really like that. That was like weirdly good. Also, I like that this season was a lot more Homelander stuff. He's the character. He's the guy. It's him and Butcher for me. I can't take my eyes off the screen with either of those two people, and it could really come down to just them, and I'm in, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. It was all right. I'm really just kind of like, all right, cool. Okay, great, but like, where is this going? Where what's up with season 5? Like, it's good that I am excited now and properly built up for the next season, but this whole season didn't feel as fulfilling throughout. Some moments, of course, but that's where it's at. And it's nothing about like the political content or anything like that. I'm pretty like, whatever, dude. I know people like to be very sensitive about that stuff, but for me, if it continues to be like the Homelander Butcher show, I am in, dude. If Butcher shows up and does that weird smile and says the C word and Homelander just continues to be a wild freak, I am in. Also, one of the few times where I'm like, damn, this is way better than the comics they're based on. Just saying. But I've talked for a while now. This was a long Q&A, so let me wrap this up. Thank you guys for coming around and listening to yap about stuff. I could talk forever, so thank you. Thank you for those of you who did drop questions. And like I said, if you want to have your question answered for the next video, just drop it down here in these comments. Anything you want. I just like talking about stuff. So hit me up. But if you like what I'm doing here, clicking the like button does help me. Thank you. But that's it. I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.